Hey everybody, Mr. Gibson. I've got a Tinkercad tutorial for you this morning. We're going to make a dice or die. This is a good tutorial for working with work planes if you're not familiar with them. So let's get rid of that one and build another one. So it won't surprise you, this tutorial starts with the cuboid. And the first thing we want to do is resize it. Now we want to resize it proportionally, so to do that, if you just take one of the corners, hold down shift when you click it. So if I hold shift, hit one of the corners, and then whatever I put in here, it will apply to all three dimensions. Okay, so that's resized my cube to 30mm. Now you'll have noticed that the dice that we looked at originally had got its corners removed, got rounded corners. Now the way we go about that in Tinkercad is to use a sphere or hollowed out sphere as a cutter to remove the corners. So I'll show you how we go about that. If you drag a sphere into the work plane and you want to resize your sphere, so you want to do that proportionally as well. So hold down shift when you do your resize and apply 45mm. Okay, and then you want another sphere, and you want to resize that one to 60mm. Forgot to hold down shift. Hold down shift. Resize that one to 60mm. Okay, so let's have a look at those three objects. For now, I'm just going to move him out of the way. So these two spheres, this one is going to be a hole, and then we'll align these two. So use your align tool and align these two spheres in all three dimensions. Okay, so now we should have a hollow sphere there. If we select both objects and group them, that should now be a hollow object. If we make it a hole, we should be able to see inside it. There you go. So you can see that now is a hollow object. Okay, so it's time to make the cut. So if you select your sphere and your cube now and align those two objects in all three planes, you should be able to see the cut that you're going to make. You can see the interference between the two objects in grey, and that looks about right to me. Okay, so make your cut by grouping, and there we have it. Okay, cube with rounded corners. Nice. So the next thing we're going to do is apply text or numbers onto your cube, and I could just go and grab the text and try and align it perfectly with my cube, but there's an easier way to go about it. So what you want to do is you want to use the work plane tool, and you grab a work plane, and that work plane you can drop onto any of these faces, so you can apply a work plane to any face on this object. So if we start with our top face, that work plane becomes yellow, and if I have a little scroll around, look, you can see that work plane is now sitting on that top face. So if I now drag in some text, it sits on that work plane, and I know that the bottom face of the text and the top face of the cube are aligned. So let's just edit that to the number 1, and then if I align both of those objects just in X and Y, I'll center the letter or the number onto that face, and then select the number, and I'm just going to drop it down by 2mm. Okay, so if you move it downwards by 2mm using that drag tool, and of course make it a hole, you can see now that the number is making a 2mm deep cut into the surface of the sphere. the surface of the cube. So grab two objects and group them to make the cut. Okay, there we have our first number. So for number 2, okay, we need a new work plane. So grab your work plane tool, drop it onto one of the adjacent faces. Grab your text, drop your text onto the new work plane. Edit your text. Select two objects, align them in X and in Y. Make your number your cutter, drop it down by 2 millimeters, group your objects, and we have number 2. Okay, so I'm going to pause there. I'm going to do 3, 4 and 5, and you can pick me back up on number 6. Okay, hi and welcome back. So you can see that I've got now numbers 1 to 5. I'm sure you know that on a dice the opposite faces add up to 7, so 2 and 5 are opposites and 3 and 4 are opposites, and that should leave me with a blank opposite the 1 to apply my 6 to. So to cut my 6 in, I'm going to grab a work plane, drop the work plane onto the face that I want to make the cut into, bring in some text, edit my text, align two objects in X and Y, move your number by 2 millimeters, so there's an overlap between the objects, make it a hole, and group them so you get a cut. Okay, and that completes our cube. So I want to get rid of that temporary work plane, and to do that you just grab a work plane and drop it onto, see the little blue square around there, that's the original work plane, and if you do that it will return you to the original workspace, and there we have him. Cube. So you can complete that tutorial. You don't have to use numbers 1 to 6, of course. You can personalize it with names of people or symbols or whatever you feel. I hope that's been helpful. See you next time. Goodbye.